Hi, Ghada. Thank you for joining us today into the podcast of Green Leaders, the insights of the energy management. I would like you first, if you can briefly share your journey into energy management and what drew you to this field. Introduce us to yourself for the ones who don't know you yet.
Thank you so much, Ruba, for having me. It's my pleasure. So I'm Ghada. I'm an energy sustainability and ESG expert based in Dubai with over a decade of hands-on experience across the MENA region. I work with organizations to cut their energy waste, build for them decarbonization plans, and actually establish ESG strategies that are implemented in real time and not just on a fancy PowerPoint slide or a long report. So going back 10 years, honestly, I didn't plan this career. I started as a mechanical engineer and I was deeply curious about how systems operate. So I started on site. And early in my career on site, I always asked these, uncomfortable questions as someone who's curious. Engineers are curious to know stuff, and fresh graduates are always eager to learn. And the question I always asked on site was why we are consuming this much energy when we don't have to. And from here, I started my journey into energy management and I did my master's in energy studies because I decided to build a career path down this road. And this is how my career started at the intersection between engineering and strategy. And what drew me most to this career path and kept me working in it is because energy is everywhere. It's in every building, it's in every decision, it's in every budget, on every P&L. So rather than treating it as a fixed cost, we need to know how to manage it. So we optimize our operations and reduce waste, whether in consumption or in cost.
That's really interesting. And we hear a lot about energy management, like energy and management, both of them combined. So, how do you define energy management in a way that everyday people can understand?
So it's not easy to explain energy management to people because people tend to think it's only technical and non-technical people or people in the industry look at it as something very complicated, which is not. And funny enough, more than a decade later, when you still ask the same uncomfortable questions you asked in your early career, but now just people pay you to ask them. So you need to develop the skill to be able to crack down what energy management is, especially to the people across all departments you work with. So usually I always tell them, imagine that you have your water bill and it's three times more than your neighbor, next door neighbor. You have same house, same environment, same family size. So what do you do first? You go into your house, you check, is there any leak? Is there something I'm wasting that I'm not seeing? Then you try to fix this if there's any leak. And then you go to your neighbor. Ask him, what are you doing? How you are getting a lower water bill than I am? Energy management is the same exact concept, but we do it, of course, at scale, projects, portfolios. And it's a discipline where you know where the energy goes and where the waste is being recorded. So when you monitor, act, and reduce waste, then you are actually doing energy management properly. And the most important thing that you need to know is you need always to start with the question, where do I stand? So when you do energy management, it's very important to know what's your baseline, what's your benchmark, what's your current status. Because later on, when you do the audit or when you go check for the leaks, for where is this overconsumption going, you will be able to know what is your biggest consumer system and what's actually working well. And then you can build on that. And most important thing, while you are doing this energy management, you should not make it harder on the people that live inside the building because, it's simply an act we do or a discipline we do to make people's lives better living in this building. So it's very important to monitor, track, and fix what's actually broken, and you go along with this journey.
I would say better and cheaper. That's the main driver for for the in-house.
Definitely, not everyone looks at it from because Ruba, you and I are in the field, and we are like green advocates, if you want to like use a buzzword, but we live it every day, and we know exactly the impact, whether on the environment or on the cost. But in order to get to the people's mindset, you need to start with the cost card.
The
Because
main
at
driver
the end
that
of
will
the
be
day,
interesting for them to pull them out.
because everyone wants to pay less bills at the end of the day. But when you reduce your bills, you're actually doing better for your environment.
Definitely. And what do you say are the biggest misconception people or like companies have about managing energy?
Okay, that's a great question, actually. There's one misconception that frustrates me a lot, actually, and I'm sure you've seen it. Building up on what I said before, people think that doing energy management will make them not comfortable. They're raising the set points of the AC, they're dimming the lights, they're closing the curtains. They are disrupting everyone's daily life. Well, this is the biggest misconception because energy management and energy efficiency in buildings, they must go hand in hand with comfort and well-being of people. And I've seen a lot of organizations being resistant about doing energy management initiatives because they had bad experience before. They brought in people who actually turned off the AC, made people uncomfortable because they didn't know better. So when the client now is aware, when the people are aware, and this is part of our job actually to raise awareness, to erase this misconception. No, I will not make you feel hot in Dubai during August. Don't worry, I'm just doing in the background operational energy conservation measures that you will not feel, but you will be
Mm.
comfortable operating your daily tasks. The second misconception is that people think that when we do energy audits or we do energy performance contracts, retrofits, energy management schedules, that it's expensive and that it will require major capex, major upfront investments. That's actually not true at all because there are a lot of behavioral changes that will cost you nothing, and there are a lot of operational optimization that you can do with lower capex near zero that will actually enhance your energy management. So you don't need to have this huge capex to start with enhancing your energy consumption at your facility. And the third misconception, oh, that frustrates me a lot. People look at us at only like people who solve technical problems. Believe me, we're not. Dealing with people is harder than dealing with the systems and technical problems. It's not a technical problem. Technology exists, frameworks exist, standards exist. We are in the era of digitalization, so technical is not a problem. Technologies are mature. You have a lot of now at universities. You would see engineering degrees focused on energy management, focused on renewables, focused on clean energy. So technology and technical are never a problem. What's actually missing for me, and this is the challenge I see, and the people who still do not see it, that it's an awareness problem and an ownership problem. So we have technical, Just
I
be
agree.
open-minded.
I agree with you. Like, as you said, like 10 years back, 15 years back, we had typical engineering degree, mechanical, civil. Now it's more into depth, customized into energy, sustainability. Even in the sustainability field, there's wider, I would say, I feel. So it's more now, it's no more now focused. But I would say it's a balance between like even the degrees it's there, but having the right consultants or the right company doing the energy management to you, along with the drivers to the client that will be interesting for them to do that. Won't you? Wouldn't you agree?
Totally agree with you. Back then, when we graduated, I feel a bit old now. We had only, mechanical, electrical, civil, and we haven't had a single course on energy in our, I remember in our courses or modules. And then when you go to the real world, and back then, I remember 10 years back, energy became like, and sustainability became the go-to.
Mm-hmm.
So awareness is building up, but I believe we still need more awareness, and
Yeah.
we need to build more awareness on not only looking at it as a technical issue, but at a finance issue, at a leadership issue, because at the end of the day, energy management is one part of the total, as you mentioned, sustainability and ESG umbrella.
Mm-hmm.
And you need to tackle it properly because you're making your environment matter and you're enhancing the well-being and comfort of people at lower costs.
Mm-hmm. So it's still ongoing effort. So we talked about the main energy challenges and the misconceptions for people and companies. But what about the country as I would say as a level, misconceptions or the main energy challenges, like for example, uh, Lebanon or Dubai or the GCC region to adapt or to pursue this I would say this target or implement this target because they already have some targets, energy savings, water savings. They have set some KPIs. But what would be the challenges to implement these?
So, the MENA region is amazingly now headed towards decarbonization strategies, net zero strategies, energy performance contracts, and you would see like a lot of regulations are being placed now, which is great because the government is the strongest stakeholder when you need to enforce initiatives on people, buildings, corporates, etc. So one of the challenges that you would see still in projects in our region and maybe also on a global level, by the way, is that there's still a gap between how we design and how we operate. And we've had this discussion in deep before, because you would see buildings that are certified, beautifully designed on paper, energy efficient, getting all these green building certifications at design stage. Handover happens, operations happen, enter this building. I've entered buildings that were energy efficient, designed, green building certified, but they were operating at levels way beyond the design intent. So this gap between monitoring or auditing, if I want to use a stronger word, the operations and the design stage is extremely important because you can't just walk in a building that's gorgeous, energy efficient, all these green labels hanged on the lobby wall, but your operations say the other thing. So I think this gap, we need to work more on it to close it. And it's critical and it's very common.
Mm-hmm. Totally agree. I mean, I think people tend to forget about like when you're doing LEED or green building certification at certain stage, even you're doing at the design and construction, but they tend to forget that the whole concept is about pursuing at all of the life cycle stages. Even though it might be more focused on the design and construction, but also there is an operational credit that you need to focus on to maintain to maintain to maintain the performance.
100%, and you see it because you've operated and certified buildings from A to Z for their whole life cycle. And I don't think a lot of people they celebrate the design and they do not look into operations. But that brings us to the second challenge we see, which is data.
Mhm,
Data a lot of times is not available. You can't
mhm,
build a proper baseline, so you need to build up the roadmap over the coming year or two to build a proper foundation, proper baseline, start collecting credible data because you know, trash in, trash out. You will hear it a lot from energy engineers. So if you don't have a credible and high quality data, you will not be able to measure savings, properly set reduction targets, monitor your performance, because at the end of the day, what you cannot measure, you cannot manage. And I'll add next to it, what you cannot measure, what you cannot track, you cannot measure. So you need to track and you need to have clean, proper data in order to close this gap, and you will be able actually to have proper KPIs and the proper KPI tracking. And then when you link this to the organizations or the corporate level of their decarbonization strategy, you are feeding them accurate data, because at the end of the day, we will not publish just targets. We
mm.
need to publish how we achieved these targets or how we are working to achieving them. It's way more important than just publishing, the targets.
Or
And
random data. I mean, we're in the era of, as you said, digitalization and data, and having the proper data is very crucial.
of course, and you need to keep momentum, which you see we lose it. It's a challenge here to keep momentum in retrofit projects or energy efficiency initiatives. And it happened to me because you would be on a project and you'll be driving the project and you will have a energy champion, sustainability champion on site. Pushing everyone, taking ownership. This person would leave, for example, to another project in the same company, or would change a role and move to another company, and then this project starts losing momentum. So you need also to work on the organizational structure on a project level to make sure there's always an owner and someone accountable, because it's not important that we care. Of course, everyone cares, and everyone cares because each of us, we want the same goal, but each of us, each department has a different success goal to achieve. Your finance and leadership, they want to reduce costs. The sustainability and energy departments, they want to achieve the decarbonization targets, the material goals or issues you have identified in your materiality assessment and the ESG report, uh, etc. So you need to have ownership and to avoid this organizational disruption that can really harm this momentum.
I mean, that's, I would say, very interesting, right into the depth of your experience. Um, what about if a company wants to improve its energy management? What's the say the first step? I would say the first step is the important one. So how they can start with this journey?
Okay, so any company or any portfolio that want to start a retrofit project, or they want to have an energy management roadmap, they want to optimize their operations, they need first to sit and ask themselves before getting any ESCO or any consultant or hire anyone. They need to ask themselves, where do we stand? What is my EUI? What is my baseline? How much I'm consuming energy, water, etc. And usually, no one will have answers to these questions, by the way, even the technical teams, because there's no one focused on performance. You know, Mostly operations and FM are focused on maintenance, PPM schedule, keeping the facility running without looking at the energy efficiency part of it. So you need to ask yourself this question, and probably you will not have an answer, and this is fine. So you need to hire the right people or bring in the right consultant, and from there you need to start an energy audit. That's an extremely important step, and this step takes time because Ruba, data collection is not easy. Building a baseline is one of the most challenging or the most challenging step in energy audits, because when you start an energy audit in a facility that has never been audited, you will not find data in a central place. You will have utility bills from here, you will have some meter data from here, you will find out meters haven't been calibrated, so whatever is feeding into the BMS is not accurate. So you need to take time, collect the proper data, establish a proper baseline, a proper benchmark, and find who your biggest consumers are and who is your most efficient system operating. And then you will know where the waste is actually concentrated, where this energy is being wasted. And then from there, you build a roadmap, because you will not go and implement everything together. You cannot. I always say it is a journey, because you will get excited. I want to do this and do that, and people will get overwhelmed. Operations will be disrupted because we want to implement these energy management initiatives, as we said before, without disrupting the operations, and especially if you are working on portfolios that are directly dealing with the customers. You cannot just turn off systems, do testing as you want. It's not easy. So you need to build a proper roadmap, build your impact cost matrix of ECMs, start with the high impact ECMs that have low cost, and then in coordination with the other departments in the company, you build the right budget together over the next 3, 5 years, coordinating with your sustainability department on their decarbonization targets. So it's a cross-functional process, and make sure to have an owner. People need to be accountable.
Not an owner, also like a facility, proper facility management. As you said, the data can be dispersed across different divisions or across places. So you need someone to, from the company side, to help you and support you and say collect of be accountable, as you said. So you addressed the cost part, and we talked about the companies and how they can start their journey. Um, do we have some quick wins, or like I would say low hanging fruits strategies in the business can implement? If
Are
so,
low-hanging
what are
fruit.
they?
Yes, and I get this asked this all the time, and I love this question because in order to answer it, you need just to ask, uh, not to ask, to look and ask, what is running that should not be running in your building. So from here you start, and the simplest ones, especially with buildings that have already implemented BMS, but they are not using the BMS how it should be, check your schedules. Usually BMS programs are commissioned and never revisited. Occupancy changed. We have days and nights. We have weekdays and weekends. We have winter and summer. In other countries, you would have 4 seasons. So make the schedule dynamic, and don't revisit it, enhance it, optimize it. Always make it dynamic. And if you already have the BMS, then no hardware is needed, just to optimize your schedules based on your consumption patterns. And you can do is one of the easiest things that you can look at and directly fix is resetting your supply air temperature, because most systems you go on site, you see fixed supply air temperature set point all year round. You know, at night, at low load in winter, for example, same set point as peak summer. So reset it, you will have less coil work, less chiller lift, and you will end up decreasing or optimizing your consumption massively. And it's one change in the BMS, fixing the schedules. Similarly, check your duct reset pressure, especially you see VAV systems, they are sized at peak load. So reset your duct static temperature. And all these scheduling and optimizing, they will cost you nothing. And in parallel, talk to your operations team, talk to your FM team, to the technicians on site. They are the ones who know by heart the site. So as an energy manager, you need to be one of them. You need to gain their trust. You need to explain to them that this is not an added task. This will not make your life harder. It will not be adding more, complexity or more work, because people, FM people on site, Ruba and operations, they are very busy. They run from place to another. They need to close work orders. The contracts are performance based, your response time, SLA. So it's not easy to tell them add this or add that. So you need to be one of them. You need to show them that this is not an additional task. Once we implement it, it will make your life easier. It will increase the lifetime of your equipment. It will it will reduce cost, and maybe you'll get a better bonus. I'm kidding. But you just need to talk to them and to train them, because you would see that FM and energy departments are usually,
Mm.
separate departments. No, you need to bridge this gap, and you need to train them, and you need to tell them how this is influencing their equipment, how they are operating, and how more smoothly and efficiently systems will be working when we adopt or implement ECMs.
Having the right procedure. So it's not only doing the ECMs as you mentioned, but having the proper strategy. Because also, like, I have seen that people come and go. Like, you had a project that, as you mentioned, someone will be very ambitious, starting the journey, then they just leave the company. So having the right procedure, the right handover, allows continuity and sustainability for the for for the energy management.
Beautifully said. Can't agree more.
I would thank you for, I would say, your experience and technical insights. Um, what advice would you give to the young professionals entering the energy sectors or are interested? Because I have seen people not coming from maybe electrical or mechanical engineers, but they are interested to dive into the energy sector. So, what advices from your personal experience would you give them?
So if you are already an engineer, be technical, build your technical knowledge, be solid, because when we are early in our career, everyone wants to climb the corporate ladder. I want to work on strategy and management. Believe me, the best strategists I have seen and the best people that did excellent strategies, actionable and feasible strategies, are the one who has built their career making their hands dirty on site. And this is personally what I have did. I invested a lot in my career being on site. Until now I go, because the best people who build the best strategies are the one who've seen it on site. And if you are not an engineer and you are willing to enter energy management or the broader, it will be easier, sustainability and ESG, there are a lot of tracks you can enter, because energy management is only a part, and it will require energy management people having backgrounds in engineering. But you can enter from the reporting side. You can enter from the social and governance dimensions. So, because for me, I don't separate energy management from the social, from the governance, from the economy, from the profit. It's always, as
It's,
sister, the three pillars:
yeah,
the
it's
planet,
always
women,
connected. Yeah.
and the profit. So I've seen people entering the sustainability from communications, legal, business. It's really amazing to see this drive. And the second advice will be for specifically for engineers, because I'm an engineer, and this advice is gold. Really listen to it very well, and because this advice will make you rare and you will have a competitive edge over your peers. Learn to speak two languages, engineering and business. This is very important because you will have the ability to sit in leadership meetings and tell them the business reflection or build a business case for an ECM or an energy initiatives, because believe me, your CFO, your CEO will not be interested in listening why putting a VFD on a pump, affinity laws, speed. They will not care about it. They will listen, you will catch their attention when you say, putting this VFD on the pump will save money. And immediately you will catch the attention of people in the room. So, again, speak two languages always, engineering and business.
Make things, I would say, relatable to the right audience. You cannot so basically you cannot say the same stuff to a client that's is not technically, it's not technical guy, and the same way to the engineers or someone who's in depth into this information. Yeah, that's very valuable. And as engineers, we sometimes lack this ability because we tend to focus on the engineering stuff. But then when it comes to the client, we cannot sell our project, we cannot sell our services because of say the right marketing or the right approach of communicating the information.
Totally agree. And this is a rare skill. You don't find it a lot. And I built it because not I built it because I was always interested to connect the three P's together and to make sense. And I learned it because, as you mentioned, how do you sell projects to clients? It has to make you have to make a business case, and people who have this skill, they have an edge over their peers.
Just I want to clarify for the listeners, because you mentioned a lot of three pillars or the three P's. Sustainability is not only about the environment or about the energy, because we live in this ecosystem, we live in the earth. So sustainability is making things about environment, but also connecting it to the economy and the people. Thanks again, Ghada, so much for your insights. I think the listeners will be very happy listening to this. I wanted to check with you where the listeners can learn more about your work and connect with you.
I live in LinkedIn professionally. So you can find me there. My LinkedIn, I post hands-on experience and lessons I learned from over a decade in this industry, educational posts, wins and failures, because it's a journey full of both. So if you are now in a position where you're not at where you want to be, believe me, you will have ups and downs all over this journey. And don't look at people who only post their wins, because we all win and fail no matter how good we are. This doesn't define us. It mold us into being better. And I'm not saying this as fancy words. I'm really saying it out of experience.
Thank you so much, Ghada. We really appreciate your insights and stay tuned, I would say, for more detailed technical podcast. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you so much, Ruba.